It's about day 6 of using this hairpiece, and I was about to say I'm not very happy, well, I think more with my hairstyle than the hairpiece itself. But this is a bright sunny day, isn't it? I just went to court. They postponed it. They didn't really have a leg to stand on, but they still say it's black and white. We're going to charge you $105.50 in court costs if I plead guilty, and they'll waive the fine of $79 to pay for their fucking court time. So what does that mean? If I win, they have to pay me $105 for today and next time I go? I don't think they'll do that. I didn't really understand if they've already paid $105 for today and then another $105 for next time. So what does that mean? I've got to pay $210 next time plus the fine? No, I have no idea. It's crazy. Not fair, whatever it is. They've got all the advantages for being the council. So it's day 6 of this poly system, and I think it's time for maintenance. Like I was telling you a few days ago, those V-lips just fall out on their own. But not only that, well no, I think it is only that. Well, maybe it's not only that. I think maybe this front part of the hairpiece has started losing its stick. Well, maybe all of the glue has started losing its stick, but the front hairpiece is the only bit you ever see, right? It's not like it's lifting thoroughly everywhere else. So I just cut off a bit of that excess that was sticking down, or flapping up, and I didn't want to glue it back down. But also I get the feeling that I probably should just cut it away. But once that gets cut away, then my hairline just goes back and back, and then it's no good, right? Oh, phone didn't smash, thankfully. We'll just find the phone runs slower and there'll be sporadic errors and pixelated images happening. Just trying to figure out a way to put this mirror up and basically block out the sun, but I kind of need it. The sun. It's good for daytime lighting. But given that the neighbours complained about the LEDs being too bright, I don't know where the hell those neighbours are. They just left an anonymous letter in the mailbox. I've got to keep turning them off all the time. Just a pain in the ass. How adversely does that affect my hairline? Hard to tell. So I'm just squeezing out the glue that's visible underneath the front of the hairline. You can see the degradation of the glue a little bit. Maybe it is time to let the sweat out, something. I'm really forcing that back. That's, I guess sweat mixed with glue equals weak glue. I guess that's what's happening with that. It's just 6 days worth. Maybe I shouldn't be chopping away at the front of this thing. Maybe I should just be cleaning it and reapplying it. But what I mean with when it comes to lace, I always just chop it away until I replace the lace. I want more than 6 days out of the system, though. That's the thing. See, if I was a little bit richer, wouldn't mind so much. So where I've chopped away there, if that solidifies back down again, and don't forget this is winter. It's no reason for me to be sweating and so on. So these are the optimum temperature conditions. So shouldn't be any problem. It's just the way the glue works. It degrades over time. But this front section, I guess if the glue was there, I shouldn't have to cut away at it. I want to though. It's fun to just get rid of the excess, but then my hairpiece will be too far back. This boat over here, it's got the hairs missing out of it, so I can therapeutically chop away at that. So therapeutic to chop off these excess bits that I don't like anymore. But yeah, probably not the way a hair technician type person should be dealing with the problem. Okay, there's direct sunlight, can you see that? That should be very good visibility for you now. So take advantage of it while the sun's out. Have a good fucking look, mate. What are you staring at? Still seems reasonably low, although this one seems lower. Starting to look fake again now. I'm going to chop away at it because I'm willing to say that this is a 6-day piece, even in winter time, which equates to about a 3-hour piece in summertime. You know that's about the scales difference, don't you? If a hairpiece lasts, like, summer's the test of hairpieces. Wintertime it should be almost infinite. But the poly is visible, highly visible. And I've looked at some of the footage I've shown you over the time we've been together, and basically you're being lied to by this camera. It doesn't show you reality completely. Then again, when I stand back, it's probably more realistic for what other people see. At any rate, I look like a bloody pineapple at the moment. The haircut's terrible. How's it going on top? I can't see any of that. Hair's drying out. Natural hair behaviour with the same product in it. And then this is the front of this poly V-loop behaviour. Whoa. Whoa. So that's shedding a lot. It's my eyes and yeah, have a look. Well, if there aren't any hairs and it's just skin, I'm thinking maybe I should just chop it off, which I will do right now. So that's the skin that I just chopped off. It's 5 mils. So how long does poly last? 6 days. Let's just see if I can extend it a bit. So I've cut back behind the line with a peroxide. Went to. So just looking at the poly, it's got glue on it and stuff, but just trying to see if it's deteriorated at all. I don't think the poly's actually deteriorated. I just think the glue's melted from just being exposed to too much sweat underneath this hairpiece where it's been living for the last 6 days. Whoa! And that's the sort of thing that comes out when you just do that. I'll show you this basin in a second, because when I look into the screen that this phone gives me to show me the footage as it happens, it doesn't show me real time. I mean, it doesn't show me an honest color portrayal of what's really going on. So if I pull hair out of my head like I can see in real life very easily, I can't see anything on that screen. So as you can see, I've lost a lot of hair. And it's starting to look a little bit more like a wall of hair again now. It's not like peroxide fades, is it? So it's not the peroxide that's to blame. But I only put the peroxide at the very front, and therefore I might be getting back to a level where I'm hitting a wall of unbleached V-lips. And even in doing that, even though there were no hairs growing out of that piece of poly, it might have been holding some hairs over here. Yeah, as you can see. See, in the camera right now, I can't see that I'm holding anything, but in my hand I can clearly see I'm holding a bunch of hairs. Okay. Yeah, and so now the hairpiece looks fake again, like a wall of hair. Solving the problem is not about chopping poly off the front, though it was therapeutic to get rid of it, psychologically speaking. Now the psychology's backfired on me because I feel like shit when I look in the mirror. It doesn't look real anymore. And I'd say it's a lot to do with the fact probably that I didn't look after the hairpiece, in terms of knowing that the hairs are going to fall out easily. Like that spot there is completely gone. Over here it looks more realistic. Here there's a line of glue. Here I just can't trust that this area is going to look good again. I can clearly see the plastic, the shine, the line of the plastic. Simply nothing is blending in with the forehead at all. The whole thing's falling to pieces, man. That is shedding significantly. And I'm just trying to get rid of the excess. I'm not trying to pull the hairs out of the piece. Like, you know when you got lace and there's a couple of people just tug them and you just shed it just to get rid of those excess hairs. But this, one, doesn't look good anymore. And two, I've just pulled heaps of hairs out. I'll start by doing what I think I should logically do, even though I don't feel like I should have to. And that is grab the front hairline here. As you can see, the glue's all melted. Yeah, sticky. Look at the texture of the glue. It's gross. See, shiny disgustingness. Then I'm going to get some of this baby wipes. C22. Probably not wise to use C22 actually, because I won't be able to wash it out. So I'll use alcohol on this baby wipe. Start with the forehead skin a bit. Do both at the same time. Try to wipe off the excess slimy glue from here and not wipe it into those hairs over there, as you can see I have. Very messy for the job that I've done, given how easy it should be. Probably because I should have peeled it back to there. And so that the glue is melted in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off the excess slime, leave on whatever wants to remain, and then re-glue it. This is day 6. So this is front hairline maintenance, I guess. But since I screwed it up in the beginning and pulled out heaps of hairs, I might need to discard this entire hairpiece. The other thing is, what I'm thinking maybe I should do is what I could have done maybe is just hold this back for a while, wait for the glue to reharden after not being exposed to the sweat from my forehead, and just see if it dries out on its own, then try and stick it back down. Don't know, it's my first time ever doing hairline maintenance on a poly system. You can't pull hairs out from the base here, they're not accessible. Apparently it's a 2-layer system. So the V's go through an initial layer. And just look at the colour of that, that's become yellow. It must be from the sweat. Sure is easier to clean than a lace piece though, because this stuff just, well, for a start it's melted, which should be preferable if it wasn't melted actually. Probably easy to get off if it was just dried up. And also this is absolutely proof, I'd say, that a poly system, if you kept it in good condition, would be absolutely easy to get off your head, and secondly, easy to clean the glue off. Just really easy. I'd say if you look after it and stop the hairs from falling out, like I haven't stopped them from falling out, I've pulled them out, then your poly system, in terms of the base, looks like it will last forever. And it looks like it's very easy to clean as well. So if for any reason you sweat like some kind of animal, or as my friend would say, a pedophile at a Wiggles concert, then you might have to do this every 6 or 7 days. And just get rid of the old glue and put some new glue on. But of course, don't forget, unlike lace, you won't have to wait for it to dry, really. Just glue exactly onto, or line it up. Just go straight onto the poly base, and then straight back down. This fresh coat of glue should solve the problem of any whiteness along the front hairline, because it'll have a nice clean fixation. Could shave off a couple of those little hairs there. That's 6 days worth of forehead hair, but I'm not going to, because it's too small to worry about. I'll do it when I do a full system replacement, I guess. Which might be today, if this stuff doesn't, if I haven't screwed up the entire front hairline. You can see the shape of it. The other thing is, what I could do now, given that I pulled it back so far, is just try to stretch it down a bit further so that the mess that I've made, by cutting away at it, isn't so prominent. Another thing is, given poly is so accurate, that is not the shape of a hairline anymore. That's the shape of some dude who just cut into it. And also, because poly doesn't have any stretch to it really, and if it does stretch, it'll just probably unstretch itself back into the position it wants to be in when you don't want it to. Okay, so in this situation, unlike lace, I'm going to apply glue directly to the poly base, because then I don't have to line it up on my forehead. It'll just land where it needs to. I won't have to deal with it. So the long, annoying handle of this brush that usually makes accuracy a problem is no longer a problem in this situation, because I want to paint a wide area. So I can use the brush handle to help me. I was just looking at mirrors for sale. It's going to be very expensive to do my bathroom. Do the whole thing with the proper over the top of the head mirrors and stuff. I'm actually thinking about going to a some sort of production company supplier store to see if they've got some kind of mounts that they use for like trusses, you know, for lighting rigs and stuff. But I get the feeling that that sort of equipment is mega expensive, but I just don't think that consumers ever buy anything like stuff that hangs from the ceiling, like for mirror mounting and things like that we need. And it really does need to come from the mirror, otherwise I've got to build a room around me in front of this sink so that it can, see, that would have been too much glue to blow on, wouldn't it? I made the right decision in getting rid of that gigantic amount of glue. And even though I'm quite confident that I could stick this down right now, I'm not going to, because I just want this to work, otherwise I'm going to have to end up throwing this piece out. And for something that I do know is that it will work if I do leave it for 15 minutes before applying it. The other thing to notice is there are microscopic particles of, well, not so much microscopic, but it was primed already with the glue that was on it previously. Even though I washed it off, I didn't wash it off at a microscopic level, and so there's grip there that makes this application of glue a lot easier than when the plastic is clean. When things are dirty, you can paint them more easily. Okay, so I can't just stretch this down like I said I was thinking about doing. In 15 minutes that'll dry as well, and then I'll be able to apply the stuff and get it out with a comb. But if I were to do so now, it would streak through instead of just coming out later on as a nice blob, a nice little dried out blob. So I'm sorry if you didn't want to have any maintenance. And the thing is as well, this is only winter time. Imagine what it's going to be like in summertime when I'm actually sweating all the time. Much worse. Also, it's taken 6 days for that scab to fall off, so that's finally healed. And this thing from the ice, dry ice, the liquid nitrogen, has mostly healed. But that was obviously a much bigger injury than that. Chemical burn versus deep impact dry ice mold removal. I'd say 1 more week until it's completely gone. I'll give you 15 minutes. Starting to build myself a little cubby house in here. Okay, let's So I can, from this mirror, a little bit over 90 degrees towards me, I'm able to see the right hand side of my face well lit perfectly. And with this light over the top of my head, I'm able to see better all the way around. So instead of having the light back up there, it's now almost there. So I can get in there, and the mirror is there and there, right next to my face. Obviously, it's not like having a light up there behind my head or something. I'm able to slide this mirror around, right? Just put it here in the roof of my little cubby house just here, right? Now see, that's good, but I want to get closer. So if I put my head there, now my face is in shadow. So obviously I need to bring the light forward. So it's showing the light on top of my head well. But this is a bit too confining, even though it's good to see the right hand side of my face there. And just feeling that now. I actually had to take the tub cupboard door off and measure it up a bit to reattach it, so the hinges are on the other side. And as for this thing, this giant mirror here, I tried to put this between the sink and the ceiling. It's just a little bit too tall, but when it's on an angle like that, it actually seems better, but it completely blocks out the sunlight. Okay, so I've attached, well, I'm just going to roll that back down, making sure that edge gets into its own position properly. And then I'm going to try to stretch, once after that bit's there in position, I'm going to try to stretch this bit at the front a little bit, try to compensate for all that stuff I cut off earlier. Feels like a bit of a mess going on up here. Oh, that's because I got glue in my hair earlier. Don't forget that anything that you do underneath the hairpiece can be seen through it, which is why the globs of glue there seem to be showing up as kind of white stretch marks. I don't believe they're bubbles. And now the hairline should be perfect. I mean, I shouldn't have to do any cleanup here. Apart from the bits where I actually glued onto it with the brush earlier. But that's the benefit of pre-gluing, that you can just make it land exactly where you want it to go without having to measure anything, because the hairpiece is the exact size you want. And looking at the hairline now, in context, before I clean off all this excess glue here and stuff that I should have been more careful about. I don't think I really stretched it into any further forward position or anything. I think it's back to the same place it was at before, so still down to hairstyling. Maybe give myself a haircut so I don't have to worry about this nonsense. And the back part of the hairpiece, nothing much I can do about that at the moment. Potentially I should have just taken the whole thing off just then and reapplied the entire hairpiece, but really can't bother. So now I'm just going to spray water through it. Don't forget, it doesn't matter if water gets on top of the poly, because it can't get in underneath and affect the glue holes in any way whatsoever. So the ease of use of poly is still outstanding. I do kind of get the feeling that the front hairline would benefit from more peroxide I only put about 10 to 15 minutes of peroxide into the front, and I only put in about 3/4 of a centimetre in, maybe 1 centimetre in. It would have bled into the hairs behind it, but given that I've cut away at some of those hairs already, it made a problem. I'm more confident now, and I'm glad I didn't cut off that excess. In fact, that stuff I was doing earlier, cutting off that excess, I don't advise you do that. I think the solution is just to clean out the dirty glue from the front of the hairline and put on some new glue. Poly has no way for the glue to dry or breathe or anything like that after it's become wet from sweat. So I guess this is part of the maintenance. You just gotta unglue the front bit every so often. There's a chunk of glue in here. It's a nest of glue. It's a very strong mess over here. Wow, I totally missed with the lineup of that edge part. It's a problem, isn't it? Way off. That's a gully ball. I'm going to have to detach that and reapply it, because they were hairs stuck to my scalp, not poly. That's bad. So just picking away at it with this comb is probably not the right idea. What I'll need to do is, given the drip glue, I allowed the glue to dry earlier, I can then just apply this stuff and just start peeling it away and just basically alcohol it up, stretch it back into position. I think if the glue stays on that poly there. I'm just giving myself some slack by pulling as far back over here, and this will give me a chance to make this more orderly up here. So that's what 6 days of regrowth of the stubble on my head looks like up there. No giant bacteria monsters jumping out to eat your face, coming under here after 6 days. In winter time though, in summertime there'll be a gargoyle. I really don't want that glue to come off the poly and land on my forehead. I want it to stay on the piece itself. So I can just do in one movement, just stretch the whole thing back over. Now this is the edge here, so I'm going to get a feel for that and try to move it exactly to the edge, making sure that perimeter up there is also in position correctly. Now I was 1 centimetre away before. You don't want to overlap either, so don't stretch past where you need to be. And I can't see anything that's happening from this point onwards, and there's no benefit in me trying to lift to check anytime before that glue settles back down in the next 60 seconds or so. Maybe it will take longer because air can't get in there. Maybe I should just not play with it for 5 or maybe 20 minutes, I don't know. It feels wet. Not that the nerves in my forehead can detect when something's wet and something's sitting on it after all that mess that I was just doing. But I think if I pull it away, it might be perfectly correct, but there's no way for me to know. And in the process of checking, I'll fuck it up, just like with the dual slit experiment. Don't start throwing photons at your electrons, otherwise they'll behave differently. That's what the thing is, by the way, with the double slit experiment. I thought it was some sort of magic, and then it was just explained on one video. Just they said it in passing, like it was nothing. It's like obvious. When a photon is placed next to an electron, or you're running an experiment with photons, then another photon trying to bounce off it to demonstrate where the first one is going to be like 2 cannonballs bouncing off each other. Of course there's going to be a change in position. So attempting to read it won't work. And it's not an observer effect and mystical and shit. You're basically firing a cannonball at a cannonball to see where the first cannonball is. Sorry, where the second one in that sentence is. So it bounces away. No magical fucking mind power at work at all. I was thinking, what's happening with the detector in that quantum experiment? And it's nothing magical. It's just so big compared to what you're looking at that it's going to affect it. Now, if you could measure things with neutrinos that pass through things but could leave a signature or something like that, or some sort of radiation, and you start firing those things potentially at photons being fired out of a barrel, if photons even exist. The thing is, the wave interference pattern versus the straight line. Now, if you haven't seen the double slit experiment, then you're way behind in your education compared to where I'm at. And I would assume that most adults are at, if you haven't experienced any kind of education on quantum physics. Most people know what quantum physics is, and it's all based on the double slit experiment weirdness, right? Let's go and watch a 3-minute video right now on what the double slit experiment is. And then you'll understand what everyone's trying to figure out. You can solve that puzzle, you get a Nobel Prize, go and do it. Go and figure out why it's happening. And explain why there's a wave interference pattern in one configuration and then just a straight line on the receiving wall in the other experiment. Go and have a look, figure it out. It's a wave particle duality problem. Seems like the main event in quantum physics. Because is light wave or particle? They're not just talking about light either, they're talking about small things. That's what they mean by quantum. Quanta, very small things, subatomic basically. An atom has a nucleus and electrons floating around the outside of it. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but still, you should know what that fucking experiment is about. So if I lift this hair up and I try to observe it, I'll fuck it up. And also I can see that, I'm trying to get that stuff out of the drain at the same time. If I put glue on my fingers, unfortunately, and the fucking ass. And grease. So I should probably shouldn't be touching my hair at all. You know, moving this door. I have fucked this part up though. I'll need to tighten that down. I might have corrugated it. I feel like I'm doing a very good job over there. But I can't touch it. Everything's sticky. So I guess this is a lesson more for me than for you, because I'll remedy my mistakes before this video is finished. You know I never leave you hanging. The solution may be to go and get another hairpiece, and I can't be fucked. And I haven't learned any of my lines. I went to court today, that's my excuse. But I've got to go back in September. 8 months already. Water doesn't help this shit up. I'll put you in a sec. Let's get on with it, shall we? We've got to figure out a way to get rid of this shiny poly bit right here without lifting all this up, but I don't think I can. I'll probably have to lift it up and glue it back down again, or lift it up. Okay, it's been about half an hour. I've just been watching a bunch of YouTube videos about accents and things that they've got in Japan and stuff like that, and what parts of objects are for that we didn't know about, like that little hole top pocket in your jeans, which is for a fob watch from the olden days and stuff. Kind of knew that stuff. Can't think of a good example of something I just learned. I like the cistern on top of Japanese toilets is also a sink, so you can wash your hands as well. So the water you wash your hands with isn't flushed down the sink hole, it goes back into the cistern and can then be used to flush the toilet, because that doesn't matter if it's a bit dirty from hand washing soap or whatever. That's pretty good. Now I wish there was a side mirror. So I could see. Well, I can't bend my eyes around properly to see that anyway. But I'm going to try to. You see, I need to be able to see forwards and yet, or down, and then see the side of my head. Maybe I do need a camera set up, because I can't think of a better way to do that. But in general, I'd say that cameras are inferior to mirrors in a lot of instances. Because if you think about a single dot, then shown on a big, large rectangle, you're only going to get a single perspective, rather than have like a wall of mini cameras giving you back direct playback, like a mirror works. So every pixel on this mirror is directly playing back every pixel. In the future, I don't doubt that they'll have pixel of video, then pixel of camera, then pixel of video, then pixel of camera, then camera, all integrated. And then you could get really, you could do that. You could place your hand up against the camera wall and it would record everything you do. And that's probably the basis for my mirror system that I would use. Or if you stood away at a certain distance, you could just maybe get 6 cameras like that all the way along. So you can get low resolution and it will just kind of use logic algorithms to stitch itself together. Then you can get video footage after you do yourself a little twirl, and then play back what you look like and save recordings and stuff, and that would help monitor your weight loss, or which clothing looks good on you, or what outfits you want to choose, and then it brings those clothes to you or whatever after you've selected. Also, you could see what you're buying online and how it would look on you in real scale as well, just by standing in front of a mirror and having that computer generated image, you know, match your body, so you can see what it would look like on you before you buy it. Then you click buy, or whatever the gesture is. So the mirror would basically replace your computer in a lot of ways. Oh shit, I shouldn't have told you that. Don't steal that. Anyway, it'll cost millions of dollars to research and develop anyway, so you're not going to spend it, are you? Anyway, I'm a genius, I'll think of 10 more in 40 minutes. So this is quite messy, what I've done here, especially since I've put glue all through my hair, and I will still have to go ahead and put C22 in there, which is solvent, this stuff. This is not something you would do with lace at all, and I don't want it to drip down through those gaps either. Let's just look at what I've achieved with the placement there. It's pretty close to the edge, but still those outer edges. This is the first time I've ever done this, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get it out. So apparently solvent takes about 60 seconds to work its magic on the glue. And like I said, if this fails, whatever I'm going to try to do here, I will be changing this hairpiece. So I think it's all about the comb. These the packaging. This is from Walker, the same company that makes Walker Tape Ultra Hold. So it's Walker Tape is the company name, not Walker. WalkerTape.com. Did I misread that? WalkerTapeCo.com. So this will dry back with the glue still in there, see? So now I'm going to have to get rid of all of it. The glue, the hair product, and the solvent. And often the solvent is the hardest thing to remove, which is a pain in the ass and stupid. From my experience, you kind of just got to have a shower to get rid of it. I'm not going to have a fucking shower. I'm going to use wet wipes. Comfy butts. Gotta work eventually, right? This is clean. You're doing what you said not to do, man. You're making it all fuzzy and you're gonna be ripping hairs out again, man. What are you doing? You're fucking crazy. Crazy like a fox. Where's that from? Well, I think it's working. I think it's working. The good thing is, between now and tomorrow, the solvent probably won't even get into under the hairpiece to ruin the hold of the glue that's holding the hairpiece on. That's another great thing about poly. And it looks like it's working. So that's something you can't solve very easily with lace, that's for sure. Well, I think I've solved most of it down the front here, but I missed a bit up top there. There's a chunk of glue hair that's stuck together up here, I think. Something very dark happening up here. I'm not sure. It feels like, it seems like I haven't pushed it close enough to the hairline, doesn't it? But it's hard to tell. I'll do the comb, see what's going on. The comb is the best tool. Better than tweezers. There's no time when usually you would need tweezers instead of a comb. And the comb is actually also your eyes in situations like this, because I can't see up there. I can't see on the top of my head. And you can feel anything. And the other thing is, whereas with lace, if you dug in that deep, you'd be hitting the lace and tearing it, right? But you'd have to press pretty hard to break through the poly with a comb, so you can risk going a bit deeper. Now there's a big black area up here happening, which is very dirty, and that might have already been happening up there, but I don't like it. Maybe it's a lip that I didn't notice. It looks quite dirty and it's hard to see from this angle. Really, yeah, see that? Now that's very difficult to get to with scissors. That is a smunched up bit of poly happening up there. I don't know how to address that issue. Why is there still knots? Why are there still knots? Well, I'll find out when it dries whether or not that's solved it properly. But even if it's not done exactly properly, like that side doesn't have any glue in it, you see? This front hairline edge is really shining out at this point. That's what I was complaining about in the beginning before all of this began. Well, those hairs are really standing alone there. I've really balded that zone out completely, haven't I? This top section here, nothing I'm willing to do about it. Unless I notice in the mirror that it's a big chunk missing. Yeah, that's really been fucked out, this whole area. That's really weird, that bit there. I'm gonna get rid of it. I see. It's like they threaded 4 hairs through together or something. Or maybe my tugging on it caused them all to fall through to hit each other. Nothing I can do about that. That's just balled it out. But it's a good way for you to compare skin to poly, because you won't get this example anywhere else. Okay, so can you see where the poly ends in this lighting and the skin begins? I can. But not very much. And I'll have my hair brushed down, I've decided, because I'm not going to walk around. After you hit day 6, I think it's time to start doing away with the brush back poly and start doing the brush forward. Or use your acting Gary hairstyle with the curtains hairstyle, which starts with the brush back look and then you flip it down after it's dried and then style it a bit after that. So I'll go through that process because you don't have to wait. You just see the edited end result. This chunky mess at the front, this shiny terribleness, has got to be stopped at all costs. You don't want the exposed poly just sitting on its own like that. Definitely not here. And that's exactly what is happening. So hopefully I pulled it far enough forward. I didn't though, because that's where my hairline should be, right there. Remember I told you, do that gap and then that gap is where it should be. So it should, the front hairline should actually be there. So I'm back about 4 mils, maybe 5 mils, which is starting to get a noticeable difference in terms of how far back it is. And that bit I cut away earlier is starting to get a bit too pulled back as well. That side hair there has the chunk missing. So I've started degrading this hairpiece and it's on its way out already after day 6, but I have pulled a lot of hairs out of it. So I learned from my mistakes. Okay, I'm just gonna somehow gently use your comb again. I hate this fucking bench. It's just, the bench feels like it's that wide and all my shit just sprawling off all over the place. I should probably be aware that this is covered in C22 solvent before I get started on this. Maybe I should let this rest in some solvent, get rid of this glue, but it doesn't, it just spreads the glue around. The thing is, they're so cheap, just feed it to the dolphins and give them another one. No, I wouldn't have them. Yeah, look. Get rid of that shit. No point in having poly on its own. It looks bad. The glue hold it down well. See, I'm doing that tugging I was doing earlier today, remember? But I'm pulling hard on it now. I want it to come up and it won't. See? You can see how hard I'm pulling in it. Get over here. So if some girl's fucking you really hard and she's pulling in your hair, fucking get over here, right? Look at that. You'll be safe. Is that your real hair? Of course it's my real hair. Is that your real hair, bitch? I'm sorry, I won't pull your hair anymore. I should think not. So that's why you should trust poly. But the fresh glue is the reason it's holding now. Don't let it sweat around and just deteriorate. You have to replace the glue. I think that's today's main lesson. But also get rid of poly that's had its hairs ripped out and be fragile with the front hairline. When you're in the shower, because obviously the water's going to make it heavy and want to be tugged on and stuff. With a hairbrush, nothing else. Just don't rip the V-loops out of your hairpiece. I wish it wasn't recoiling like that. It's going to be hard to get blade under. I just really don't want to cut off any. There you go. Much better. Now there's probably loose hairs there, but now, but no, I think there was so much excess that it. And one in the middle there. See, I just created a tiny micro lip. 0.06 mils instead of 0.03 mils. That's unacceptable. Okay, there we go. Can you see it lifting there? Where there are no hairs on it? It's just poly that's exposed and will just shine for no reason. Get rid of it. It really wants to curl up and make it impossible for me to get any. Now you can still see those bits sticking up, but what if I just do that? Okay. Some glue that's been exposed there. But nothing like the mess poly makes when you're doing the hairline. So I'm very happy to find that there are answers to poly. Because when I first tried it out, I thought this is ridiculous. How can anybody wear this stuff? It doesn't look real at all. But now you know it can look real, and it is better in so many ways than lace. And that gluey mess that I had earlier was actually solved perfectly well by that C22 on top of the poly. I brush the hair. Now that it's dry, it should behave the same way on this side, all the way across. This appears to be intact. So aside from my hairline being moved back, trying to get a bit of gluey ball out of there. Is it glue? I don't know what it is. Something. Yeah, that's a major problem. That's all a major problem over there. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to show you the curtain flops now. Just removing here from this brush. So it's going to get all over the fucking place. By the way, the best way to clean a brush is with another brush. In fact, they magically just clean each other out. But you just got to pull those chunks off at the end. So it pushes all the hairs to one end of the brush, and then you can just usually just remove them more easily after that. That's why they're there. And then the second brush, it's not left with a problem as bad as it originally started with. You can basically, both brushes work together to bring the hairs to the edge of the brush, where you can just take it off in one big chunk of both brushes. This is not a brush, this is a comb. But, do what I say, not what I do. Comb works too. Okay, so that is long, but it's still attached to my head. Why is it so? Well, because the V was here or so. So now I'm not going to be able to push it back in. I've got to take them all out. There's no way otherwise. So there you go. It's even more bald there now. Alright. So be it. Right, so this hair shedding like crazy after all that meddling I did. Look at that. So can you see them all coming up there? Can you see what's happening? Ah, shit, it's all just coming up and out of my head. These V-lips have no sustaining strength whatsoever, so do not tug on them. You saw that bowl, that basin full of hair that I had earlier. Well, I just did the same amount basically again in a short amount of time. Right, so what you could do is, I've still got some product in the back of my hair and stuff, but I've been messing with this stuff, so most of this would have washed out by now. This is muck. Gross. You take that much, dry hand only, not wet hand. Wet hand makes it all painfully. It could take ages to rub it into a spread. Don't forget there are little pockets in there. So you can't see it now. I'm not going to do that. That will just pull on the hairpiece very hard and start ripping more hairs out. Though I do trust that Holly won't want to move, because you saw it earlier when I was trying to tug on it, and it's got an incredible holding strength when the glue is clean and not sweaty. Okay, so I'm just going to brush it, run my fingers through my hair. And the front hairline, once again, looks mostly realistic. I'm half tempted to cut that away. Can you see over here where the peroxide didn't reach? It's starting to show how black the entire hairpiece would be at the front hairline if this blonding hadn't been done along the front. Distributing that muck a little more thoroughly. This might be another process by which hairs get weakened or pulled out. The thing is, I don't think they were ever strengthened in the first place. I think they were just always just sitting there. And despite the fact that I think the front hairline almost looks passable enough for me to just walk around with my hair brushed back like this, if I liked this hairstyle, for example, then that bit over there could be removed. Don't forget to put the lid back on the muck and take all the wet wipes out of the sink, because otherwise it'll overflow the sink. So clean your hands of all the muck and then dry your hands with a towel. Lid back on the muck. The lid on the muck is not designed well. It's always like, oh, why is it still askew? Fuck. Anyway, that seems okay. So I would have liked to have cut that out because that's quite visible from my perspective. I'll just get a scalpel and just cut it like that, maybe. I'm joking. You understand when I'm joking? I don't think you probably do. People in my class don't understand any of my jokes at all. They don't know when I'm joking, or don't even know that I've ever made a joke, probably. They just think, he's just nasty. I don't know, they're thinking. They probably think I just want to fuck them. I am male. Is there anything else we think about? If there is, it's just on the iceberg tip. The rest of it, my mind is just fuck, 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 of course. I don't know why I'm so enthused about vaginas. They just, well, I mean, after you've, oh, baby, right? You've prayed to whichever deity you like best in that particular moment. You look at it and you go, it's like the predator, right? It's like, fuck, man, you don't want that thing running after you in the forest at night. You'd be fucking scared out of your mind. There's nothing more scary. But for some reason, at the rest, and apparently this like people get castrated so they stop thinking about it. So my balls have got a bit blame. I know what my balls are doing down there, but they're fucking saying, get more pussy. That's all they're saying. That's dominating most of my thoughts. But yeah, they're not attractive things once you splay them. I know. I didn't even know they gave out white pus. Apparently there are 7 different types of mucus that come out of them at all times. They say wait until I'm wet. It's like, what am I waiting for? It's always wet when you come out. It's everywhere you sat down when you were naked on the couch and everything. We're going to have to mop this place. But I don't really understand assholes in terms of wanting to fuck that. So even if you're gay, right, it must be the penis you're attracted to, because women have assholes too. So it can't just be, oh yeah, I want an asshole. Because after it's wiped, maybe. Hopefully they're using baby wipes, whoever those people are. Give them enema, I don't know. I don't want to even know. I kind of want to know. I want to know if the answer is a hygienic answer. It's not really something that I... Just too many going straight, guys. But surely it's about the penis, because... Okay, I was on the phone for a while. It rang while I was filming. That bit there, I can barely see it anymore because the sun's gone away. I don't even know if I can get it up. That whole bit there, it's going to look like shit either way, isn't it? But at least it will look like shit in a natural way. I can't really stretch that down or anything. Maybe I'm better off just... Okay, this is what it's like to try to lift it right now. This is how good it sticks down. Now you saw me reapply it with glue. Okay, there you go. Now obviously if your head is hot with sweat or just hot, the glue melts. So that would have been a lot easier. But that's not the sort of thing that wind, if you jumped out of an aeroplane, is going to pull back. You have to use force. It's awkward. I'll just pull it off more. I'm going to cut off more than I need to. Blade's not sharp enough. Oh, but it's got some traction, so that worked. I'm just going to stick it back down without doing anything else to it. And I reckon that ought to stay. Because it's quite cold. So like I say, cold weather is ideal. Now I've got a chunk missing of my hair there, actually. But now nobody's going to go, what the fuck's that plastic shit? Except maybe there. It's too hard. I've been biting my fingernails and now they're catching on every tiny little thing. So, until further notice, that's my new hairstyle. There's plastic there as well, fucking showing. Sucks. Now I was going to show you, once it's been pushed back like that, how to do the... Use your acting, Gary. Stop being a faggot and suck that cock. That's not, that line isn't even in the movie. I think my stepbrother just made that up. Awesome line there. Doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, that joke still works. Okay, so now you just go unk. Oh, how chunky is that back there? Okay. So once your hair's been pulled back into that position back there, oh, this gap up here is a bit worrying, isn't it? And your hair probably grows forward there and down there somewhere, so this point here is going in all directions. So I'm going to acting class again tomorrow. Just spoke to my friend. He's my age in the class. He's younger than me. I'm the oldest, but he's still my age. And he doesn't get along very well with the other students. Not that he fights with them, he just... They're young, they're so young, and they backstab each other and stuff. Can't trust when they say something nice to you, because 5 seconds later they'll be giggling and they'll start whispering and stuff. And stop talking to them when you turn around at all. Even just if you're looking up over there and they're there. Let's go home. So yeah, that's where that wall is. Okay, and then they've already started fucking around again. Talking shit about you. See what he was wearing or something? I don't know. Their priorities are about fucking around at parties, basically. But if you smoke, you're evil. So any of the priorities that once existed are just completely reversed, and all the priorities that we didn't give a shit about are now major issues for them. The world is upside down. The Lord is inside out, the world is upside down. I don't think that's how the song goes, but... Oh, that's right, it's just before he kills himself. Boom! Like he jumps in the river. What is that song? It's when he's confused. Javert, I'm talking about in Lanniers. He's talking about his confusion about Jean Valjean being such a good person this whole time. But he really thought he was an evil person because he stole a loaf of bread to feed his family. Which is the backstory, which is why I'm writing a musical about it. But I'm procrastinating. Alright, well, my hair's done. So you can fuck off now. Thanks.